today you'll see two super cute wrap skirts. The pattern can be free if you want them to be. I have one in white and I have one in a print, both linen, super easy to put together. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today I have a free pattern to share. I'm saying free with a little bit of an asterisk. Now this is a pattern I downloaded a few years ago actually from Peppermint magazine. Back then all the patterns were made by In The Folds, which is an Australian pattern brand that would make patterns for Peppermint magazine. Back then all the patterns were free. All you had to do was type in your email and you would get the download. At this point the newer patterns are not free. They have a pay what you want. You'll see a little list there next to the pattern where you can click the amount that you want to pay for the patterns. But in this one that I'm going to show you, it still has the pay what you want, but you can pay anywhere from $0 to $20. It's a very different way for them offering a product that can be free if you want it to be, or you can pay what you think you want to pay for the pattern. I got it years ago for free, so I didn't pay for it, but if I got it at this point, I would probably pay for it. That's why I'm saying it can be free if you want it to be. And this is a wrap skirt. It actually doesn't have a name, it's just called wrap skirt because that's what it is. It's slightly A-line, not completely straight, but I wouldn't say it's A-lined or has a lot of volume. And the original length is midi length. You have waist studs for shaping both in the front and the back. As with any wrap piece, the back is just simple and then the fronts are the ones that overlap. They are two different pieces. They are asymmetric. And on the top you have a super long tie. The ties are different length for the right and the left side. On the right side of your waist, on that waistband, you're going to have a buttonhole, and that's going to allow you to put the ties through and then tie them up at the end. I was sort of scratching my head the first time I was trying on the skirt. How does this go? But it's okay, it's easy. Before I continue with this pattern review, I wanted to let you know that today at Love Notions, the Feature Friday pattern is the Oakley vest. I've made two versions already and have a full video review about it, so I'll leave that link down below. And here you can see it styled over one of my encore skirts. I think it looks really nice. I love this leopard print. You can see this Oakley vest that I made. Doesn't change the pattern pieces. I did change it in the way that I finished all the edges. I made facings for it instead of putting a zipper because I just wanted this look that was a little bit more dressed up and not a winter version. And you can make it out of fleece and you can make it be super cozy if you want to. But always know that when you see a pattern, just look at the liner, look at the style, and just think above what's being offered there, because it can surely be made in a different way that's just going to suit your lifestyle. For me, linen is where it's at. I really love that leopard print. It was the first time I used that fabric back in the year 2020, and then you've seen several garments made with that same fabric afterwards. So yeah, have a look at it. It's $5. My affiliate link is down below. My code is always there as well that you can look at because the code is always changing. It's not always the same one. You can get an extra 10% off. In the lookbook later on, I'm going to style one of my skirts with my Oakley vest, so you will see it again. This is a pattern for woven fabrics. I think medium weight fabrics are going to work okay, maybe a little heavier. I wouldn't go too lightweight. I think a medium weight quilting cotton would work, a chambray, a denim. Linen of course would always work, linen rayon blend, a canvas maybe, but not too heavy. Maybe a type of wool would be okay. If you wanted something drapier, you could use a rayon twill. I would not use a really lightweight plain rayon weave. I think that would be way too floppy, but I think a rayon twill would be okay. As long as you wear a slip underneath or something. I'm just saying, I think it's still a little bit floppy for this style. A tencel twill would be nice. I think that would be a nice way. And would give you a look that's a little softer. The design does not need drape. You don't need drapey fabrics. It's just the way that it's going to look is going to be softer than the more structured fabrics. The structured fabrics are going to be easier for you to work with. For both of mine, I have the same type of fabric. Linen rayon blend, linen 55%, 45% rayon. One is white. It's always hard to film. Yeah, I just wanted a white skirt, and the other one is a stripy one. You need a tiny bit of interfacing for where that buttonhole is going to be. The whole waistband is not interfaced. Remember, it's sort of a tie as well, and it's going to be wrapped around you, so you don't want anything stiff adding bulk to that area. So it's just a little bit that you need. The sizing is a little different. It's not the typical sizing you see, so you really have to look at the size chart. It goes from A through to J. The largest size goes up to a 54 and 3/8 of an inch hip. designed for a woman that's about 5'7". But with skirts, it's sort of relative because you can easily adjust to the length that you want here. I chose a size G, which matches my waist and my hip exactly. Now, because the ties at the waist are adjustable, it's got 0 ease in theory, but you know, if one day you're a little bit bloated or whatnot, you can adjust the ties to be tighter or looser as you see fit. And then at the hips, you're going to have slightly less than 2 inches of positive ease. So it is a semi-fitted style, and it's just totally my style, and I really, really love it. It's meant to be a midi skirt. It's very long. I did not want a skirt that length. So mine is about 10.5 inches shorter. That is the only fitting adjustment I made. I just measured from the bottom of the hem, which is slightly curved. I measured up the 10.5 less that I wanted, drew my new line, and just cut the rest off. That's because I like my skirts short. If I'd wanted it to the floor, I would have added more length. I just don't like midi lengths at all. It's just not my jam. But as always, that's going to be your choice. You can choose whatever length you feel more comfortable in. And I'm still comfortable with the shorter lengths. I have filmed some sewing for you. It's very easy to put together. I'm focusing on general construction, but mainly the ties because they're a little bit different. Now, the skirt you're going to see me sewing is the second time I sewed it, because the first time I sewed it, I did it off camera. And I made a mistake. Not a terrible mistake, it's a silly mistake. So that's why I took some precautions the second time around so I could get it right and get it right for you so you can see the right way to do it. I just got a little bit confused with the waistbands. That's why you see me put a lot of labels and papers and things, so that the mistake I made the first go wouldn't happen again. Mistakes happen to everyone, they happen to me as well. So let's see how to put this easy skirt together. Here are the 2 front pattern pieces for this wrap skirt. They are separate pattern pieces, and you have to cut them with the fabric right sides up. So the printed pattern piece with all the labels has to be right sides up, and so does the fabric. This one is the right wearer side, which is a little narrower than the left wearer side, which is a little wider. Over here are the hip areas, and here are the center areas of this one. On the wrong side of the fabric, you can't really see it, but there are dots here to shape the waist. This would be the left wearer side, and the right wearer side is the one that's going to overlap over here. So that'll be the front, and then we just have one back piece that's super simple. On the waist area, we have dots on both sides as well. Here we have 2 super long ties. They are different. The right wearer side tie is shorter than the one on the left. We sew them here at the center back, and on this right wearer side tie, the shorter one, along this way, you're going to see a mark for a buttonhole. It's quite a biggish buttonhole, and that's how the ties are going to overlap when we wrap around the ties. So on that mark right there, I'm going to fuse a little bit of interfacing to stabilize the area so that it's not just the buttonhole on its own later on. They are very, very long pieces, and they are different. They're not the same length. I've already started putting all of this together. First thing I'm going to do is stay stitch. It is curved. The waistline is not a rectangle, and it has the potential of stretching out and not fitting the waistband properly later. I'm doing it within the seam allowance, which will be 3/8 later when the waistband is sewn on. There's 4 dots to sew in this pattern. There's 2 in the back and 1 in each of the fronts. So I'm just quickly getting these out of the way. I always start from the tip, going off to the wider serge. All the side seams and the center fronts, everything's already serged. Here is the back skirt piece, and putting the skirt together is super easy. I'm just going to put the front pieces on top, aligning there at the side seams. It doesn't matter which one overlaps which side right now. All we need to do is sew the side seams. There's quite a distinct curve here on the side seams compared to the centers that are pretty straight, but they are in a type of angle. Now you can see that I've got these folded in by 1 inch. The instructions say fold twice by 1/2 inch, which is the same amount of fabric. I just prefer the cleaner look of a single layer. So I serged the edge and pressed it in by 1 inch. Still going to end up with the same width. So at this point, we're just going to sew side seams. I'm going to do that off camera because that is very boring. After sewing the side seams, I'm going to serge all the bottom as well. The pattern instructions has French seams for the sides. I'm not a fan of French seams for medium weight fabric like this one. So I'm just going to sew the side seams like normal. I'm still keeping the 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to be pressing the seams open. That's why I've already serged everything. I am going to come back and focus on the waistband because that is a little bit different. There is a center back seam in these waistbands, so I've already sewn that 1/2 inch seam allowance and pressed it open. And I've placed little labels here so I don't get confused. This is the one that's going to go on the left wearer side. Here's a label with an R for the right wearer side. On the right wearer side over here, you're going to have a buttonhole mark. This is actually going to be done after the waistband is sewn onto the skirt. So I've marked a line where that is, and I'm just going to stabilize the whole area with fusible interfacing. This is actually a lightweight cotton that has a fusible side, so it's really stable. It's going to give that buttonhole a lot of strength because we're going to be pushing the tie through it. So that's there, and I've marked it with thread over here so that I don't lose where the spot is. Here is the skirt. It's all constructed. I've put labels on here where the left wearer side is and what the right wearer side is so that I can align my waistbands. I'm just going to put the waistband extended like that so you can see this is the skirt. Here we have left and left, right and right as one, and there is a center back seam that you've already seen. That's going to match the center back of the skirt. So all I'm going to do is flip these right sides together like this and start pinning all the way. Now we're going to get to the edge of the skirt here, and there's going to be a lot of tie left over. Okay, here's the waistband sewn on one of the edges. I've already been to the iron and pressed the seam allowance up. It's very neat. What I've also done is in this section that involves the skirt, I have gone ahead and pressed this other raw edge by 3/8 of an inch as well. So that's ready for later. Now we have to deal with the ties, and it's actually super easy. All we have to do is fold these right sides together over here. Let's bring this fold down so that everything's extended. And I'm going to put a pin right here to hold it extended. Where the skirt stops, from here down, we're going to sew this all the way to the edge. I'm not going to finish this because it'll be harder to turn it right sides out if I do that. So I'm just going to sew the tie itself all the way to the end right there. 3/8 seam allowance, super easy. I'm actually going to start from the end here. And because this fabric is so easy to work with, I'm not going to use pins for this. And here I can see that I'm going to sew right up to there where the edge of the skirt is. Now that this tie has been sewn, I'm just going to take a big safety pin and turn this tie right sides out. That's why I didn't want to close this little short end. I wanted to leave it open, and I can deal with that later once it's turned. Here we're almost up to this point. So what we're going to have in the end are two ties, and the waistband that's attached to the skirt still loose. You can see this tie is done, but inside the waistband is still loose like that. So I'm going to repeat the same process with the other tie, the other side. It's all the same. Actually, this side is way longer, but it will be the same process. Once both ties are done, we still have the part that goes inside the waistband loose. And so I'm going to make sure it covers that seam there. I'm going to hand baste that and then top stitch from the right side while I'm catching this. And that's it. That's the easy waistband. Also, after the waistband is done, there's a section here where we're going to have a pretty big buttonhole there. For edge stitching, for a long time I've been using this presser foot that is a blind hem presser foot with the needle to the left, and I would get the needle in there and then that would give me a really nice edge stitch, but this is not working well. It's a little bit broken, so I'm going to use something else. This is another presser foot. This has an L on it. It's also a type of blind hem presser foot, but different. When you move this, it moves this edge in or out, so you can actually get whatever seam allowance you want, and it's really helpful. I've set it here to about 1/8 of an inch. Here is my wrap skirt. It's all really stripy. I've got it on the hanger here like it would be if it's wrapped. So the right wearer side is the one that comes over the left wearer side. This is that center area that I chose to fold in by 1 inch instead of folding twice by 1/2 an inch. It's top stitched from there down. I did my hem by hand because I don't like having stitching going across the hem like that. I just don't like that with stripes. For the edge stitching, I was careful to use red thread there so that it wouldn't be seen all along there, and I was really careful to use the exact same seam allowances so the stripes would be really neat. On the inside of the waistband, I was catching that white area, so the bobbin thread was white and the top thread was red. I'm just really cautious about those things when I'm sewing. I want it to look as best as possible, and I would have hated red thread on the inside over that white area. Even though no one's going to see it, I'm going to see it, so that's why I sometimes use different colors on the top and on the bottom, and that's totally acceptable. Then we have the really long ties over here, and on this one I did the buttonhole correctly on the right side, which ends up being here on the right side of you, and that is the buttonhole there. Now the way to put this on, let me see if I can explain. It's super easy. You put it on through the back first. You put the left side on you first, and that tie from the left side is what goes in through the buttonhole right there. And then you bring the right side over. That's why the right side tie is shorter, because it's already there. And then this tie that's at the back goes along your waist over here, and they end up tying on the side, and they end up the same length. That's why the left side is longer. Makes sense once you put it on. When you're sewing it, it's like, what the heck is going on here? And when I put it on, I think I did it wrong the first time, and then I got it right the second time. Once you get the hang of it, it's easy. Wrap skirts are just an extended skirt, right? There's some waist darts, one in the front, two in the back, and then another one. Bring the left side over first like this, put it through the buttonhole right there. That's why the buttonhole is pretty long, because it has to fit the tie. And then bring the right side of the skirt over, and then wrap this around and tie it up. Anyway, you'll get the gist once you put it on. And I think it's super nice that you can adjust it and make it comfortable for the day that you're wearing it. That's what I love the most about wrap skirts, that you can keep wearing them. Whether your waist size fluctuates, it does not matter. So I love it. Let's see it on. This is my first wrap skirt from Peppermint Mag in the folds. Mine is a straight size G, and it's 10.5 inches shorter than the original, so it's not a midi skirt. I have the ties there on the left side of my body where they should go. The wrap is really nice. It's quite generous, so I'm not scared of this flying open with the wind. Up closer you can see the ties there and how you can make that tighter or looser according to the day. Whatever makes you feel comfortable on the moment is why I like wrap skirts so much. Other than they're pretty, there is some nice shaping with waist darts there. The back is simple on the fold, and the two front pieces are not the same. They are symmetric. The right side crosses over the left, and on the right side of your body you can see there's a buttonhole, which is quite large to allow these ties to cross over. It's not that tricky to put on once you try a few times, and I really love it. Simple styling here with a cami that I've just made shorter on the side so you can see the ties, and I loved all the little details in this pattern. This is my white version. It's all the same, it's just that I made a mistake and I put the buttonhole on the other side, which makes the way that you tie the ties different, but then it ends up sort of looking the same. The ties end up being here on the right instead of on the left. So it's not a catastrophic mistake. It's not that I can't wear the skirt. I can wear it. You know, will I unrip that waistband and do it all over again? No. The fact that I already opened the fabric and cut it up and already did that buttonhole means I can't like reuse this waistband again. I would have to cut another one and at least cut it and do it all over again, unstitch it. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Pick your battles. I've made worse mistakes in the past that I will actually go ahead and rip and do all over again, no drama. But with this, I'm not going to do that. So because I made the mistake the first time around, that's why I was extra careful to label my skirt pieces and label everything so that it would end up being correct. You know, if you're looking real closely, you're never going to know that the skirt is wrapping towards the other side. No drama there. What I did different with this one, because it's white linen, is that it's lined. So I have a layer. It's so hard to see this. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to film white. There's a layer of rayon twill in here. And because rayon twill is a heavier weight rayon, I think it's going to do a good job of, you know, making the skirt not sheer, because the white linen would be completely transparent. So I have that there. I've sewn that in there. I have filmed the process of how to get to the lining pieces separately. I am preparing a video showing you how to line certain things a few ways, you know, those types of videos that I like to make. So I already have that footage. I'm not gonna say when that's coming, but it will be coming because I'm not gonna just have that technique. I'm gonna have another one with it. This is something that was just totally optional. It's just because my fabric is white. It doesn't change the pattern at all. It's just lined, there's 2 layers, and it's wrapping around to the other side. So let's see the white one on, the mistake one. This is my second wrap skirt. It's white linen, so this is completely lined inside with rayon twill. It's not part of the pattern, I added that. I made a little boo-boo and I sewed the waistband and ties the other way around. So the whole skirt is wrapping around on the other side, but no worries, it's not a catastrophic mistake. That's why I paid more attention to the stripy one, which is correct. I really love it. It's the same size G. You can see it styled with my Oakley vest here, and up closer you can see the ties. Super nice. I have a cami tucked in under there, and it's so nice that it's adjustable. I really love the white skirt with the Oakley vest from Love Notions. Like the leopard print with the white underneath looks really nice, and I love this look. I know this white skirt is going to take me a lot of places. I will show you how to line a wrap skirt in a separate standalone video, but I have already done it with this one and I love the result. I could not fathom sewing something white without it being lined. I loved how they turned out. I know I'm going to really love wearing them. I can't get enough of this fabric, so there's many ways I could wear this one and be super comfortable. It's exactly the type of skirt I like to wear. And this is filling a gap in my wardrobe because the only white skirt I have at the moment is a denim skirt, which is super casual. I don't have a white skirt that I could dress up a little bit more. I think linen does the trick where you can dress it down or dress it up. So I'm very happy with this. I think the instructions are very well made, super nice diagrams, very logical. And remember that you can always make changes. You know, I made maybe 2 changes in the skirt, which was not fold these by 1/2 inch twice. I'd rather just have a single fold. I think it's cleaner that way. I also didn't do the French seams. I really don't like French seams in curves, especially when there's a hip curve. And I really don't like them on linen. I think it's really bulky. So maybe I would have done a French seam on a rayon twill. That would probably be the only fabric I would be happy to do a French seam. Just always know that it's your choice, the way you finish your garments inside. I just kept that same 1/2 inch seam allowance, which was the seam allowance, and just sewed it and pressed it open because that's my preference. But if you want to go ahead and do the French seams, go ahead. The instructions show you how to do it. If you've never done it before, maybe it's something new that you want to try out. That's all from me. Have an amazing weekend. I hope you give this pattern a go. I think it's super nice. And don't forget to look at the Oakley vest. That's $5 today at Love Notions. I have a lot of things to do on Sunday, so I'll only have like 1 day rest, and then I'll keep at it because that's what we do here. We sew a lot. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye.